Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break, we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at ubnradio.com. Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And welcome. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Hour Studios, Universal Broadcasting Network Radio, and now every Thursday at 7 p.m. for your commute home out of the NBC News Radio KCAA AM 1050 Loma Linda. So we are here today. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no CNN, no constantly negative news, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, Kardashian talk. Instead, we talk about what is right with people, places, and things instead of what is wrong about people, places, and things, which is what usually happens when you turn on the news. And if you didn't catch my great show last week, I had Marianne from Gilligan's Island on, and that's Dawn Wells. So please do go to YouTube or iTunes, and you can get a free podcast to replay that amazing, incredible interview, and also to find out how you can have a date with Dawn Wells. It was a lot of fun. And I just found out, talked to her publicist today, that she is going to be back on. And she actually said that on the show, and it's going to happen. She will be my guest co-host in January for my monthly series, Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, the new Asian Dr. Ruth. And so she's going to be my guest the last Tuesday of January, and Thursday. So please do tune in, and you can listen to her talk. And what are we doing today? I thought we would continue on with one of our series that was very popular last year with Chris, which is Healing from Past Pain. So I found someone, actually from Idaho, who is an expert on not letting anything like a mere traumatic brain injury stop her from having a fulfilled and completely joyous life. In fact, she is the author of a best-selling book called Thrive, Don't Just Survive. And she was brought to me by Mary Garcia, so thank you, Mary. And we have her actually Skyping in from Idaho. She is going to tell us all about what she's gone through and how she got to thrive and not survive. So without further ado, please welcome to the studio Ms. Allie Bierman. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Dr.
Thank you for joining me. And how's Idaho?
It's a bit chilly, but there's nothing falling from the sky, so I'm good with that.
That's great. And as per usual, just to connect with you since you are distant, if you could just put your feet on the ground for me and your palms up and your eyes gently closed, and just take a deep breath in through your nose and releasing through the mouth. Soft shoulders, soft elbows, soft knees, and breathing in again with me. Connecting with me through breath, through chi, eternal energy, and releasing. And one more deep breath in. Connecting hearts and releasing all the stories and the drama. And then gently opening your eyes as I connect with you. Welcome to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. So you have had quite the life I started reading a little of your book that you so graciously sent, and we will be giving away free copies of the book. So stay tuned to the end to find out how, since I have to live up to my honorable moniker of the Asian Oprah. But take me back. I think that it would be great for my listeners to actually see where you came from and what happened that fated day in at work.
Well, I was working in a crisis care facility as a psychotherapist, and we had some very dangerous clients. Now, where my life was at that time was it was 1 week before my final exams, finishing my first year on my doctorate in psychology. I also had a design business. I made inspirational cards, sculptures, jewelry, all kinds of things, played music. So I had a very full, very busy life. And that night I walked in for my night shift, and I was extremely uncomfortable to see the client who had recently attacked the huge copier in our office still there. And more so, my male partner wasn't there that night. There was a substitute, was a young girl. And I happened to be the lucky one. And when you look for the gift, you'll always find it. Who she chose to attack that night. She went into a full-blown psychotic episode. And she left me actually retired on medical disability. She kept pounding me in the head and opened my eyes to a world I didn't even know existed.
So she came at you and she attacked you. She brutally attacked you to the point where you were unconscious?
I was conscious because I was responsible for 7 lives.
Okay.
And that's what I was telling myself. I can't let anything happen. I can't lose consciousness.
Okay. Then they took you to the hospital.
No, actually, it was a closed head injury. I didn't even realize that I was hurt until the next day. I called a therapist my husband and I were seeing for couples therapy. She said, come down here right away. And then she called my husband and she said, take her right away and get her checked. It's, when you get hit in the head, you don't really think that clearly.
Right. And then what did the doctors find?
They didn't find a whole lot at first, but since I worked for one of the wealthiest counties in the nation and they really needed me there, they sent me to every kind of specialist, the people that have the 3-month waiting list. I got right in.
Okay.
And it was interesting because either they said there's nothing wrong because they couldn't see it on their test. They can only do what they know. Or they said it's all in your head. Something women hear very often.
Right.
I would say, yeah, that's where my brain is.
Right. But you knew something was wrong.
Oh, I knew something was wrong because
Okay.
it very quickly was getting worse and worse.
Okay.
And I followed. I don't believe what doctors say if it is just a straight medical. If the tests don't show anything, there's nothing wrong. I knew there was something very, very wrong.
Right.
And I listened. That's when the universe was able to get through to me. I could not follow a conversation. No short-term memory. I had to go within. So I learned this whole world, a way of being in the world that I'd never known before. And that's what allowed me to find the people who would help me with my healing.
So what was the diagnosis when they actually admitted there was something wrong?
They just called it a closed head injury.
Okay. And it's you say it's a TBI, a traumatic brain injury?
Traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
It's like you can't be a little bit pregnant. There's no such thing as a small or a minor brain injury.
So, and then if that wasn't bad enough, so you sort of had to recover from that.
Yeah.
They found something else.
Yes, I figure that I recovered about 95% of how I used to be. And then my body started going numb, started my fingers worked its way up my arms, around my neck, down the other arm. And I thought, oh, there's something here.
Right.
None of my alternative healers can find it. So I actually got an MRI and found a brain tumor.
Wow. And that was how many years ago?
That was 3 years ago.
Okay, just 3 years ago. And I had asked when we did our pre-interview, your voice was affected by that tumor.
Yes, when
Yes.
before the surgeon said, "Now you may wake up unable to speak or swallow." And of course, I felt like a kid. I said, "Oh yeah, not me."
Right.
Well, I did wake up unable to speak, unable to swallow, and I could barely move because inside that tumor were three critical nerves for functioning.
Oh, wow. Wow. But I mean, you're more than functioning, as you can see on the Skype camera, as well as you've written a book about your experience. And not only did you write the book, you're running contests and you have a website and you are an advocate and also proof. As I put in the promo teaser for your appearance here, is that they do say that unless you have your health, you can never be happy, and you're a great example of you've gone through some serious health challenges, but it doesn't seem to hold you back.
And that's something I really, really want your listeners to understand is healing doesn't mean you get to be how you used to be. Healing is accepting yourself as you are, seeing what you can do, and moving forward. I reinvent myself every day. I work very hard to
Yes.
swallow, to speak, and to walk, but nobody knows I'm putting that effort forth.
Right, right. And let's take that moose on the table for a second, because you would I mean, you have every right to be ticked off. Like this patient was originally a problem. They saw it. So why did this happen? And why was that situation the way it was? And then why did the doctors not find out? And why I say why is not a spiritual question. Why can't I swallow? Why can't I miss my voice? I used to have a great voice and now my voice is different and I can't do the things that I used to be able to do. And why did this happen to me? And this is like the Ruinade song, or the marinating in that the pity pot. But and I say this with a lot of compassion. It's okay to sometimes actually have that conversation. But I guess I tell my clients it doesn't make you feel good if you go beyond the vent session. So how important is it to actually be pissed or be angry at the situation? Obviously I didn't have it to the extent that you're having it. So realistically, how do you thrive and not survive?
For me, it doesn't make sense to use my precious energy to be angry or to feel pity. I need to use my energy to move forward, to make a difference. When I wrote the book, I thought I was just sharing my experience, and that was because some of my therapists, my physical therapist, my swallow therapist, said we could really help our clients if you write the book. But the feedback I got, I realized this is my life. It's my life purpose. And I'll tell you, there were days when I would just start to cry. And I would stop myself. And I would ask the universe why. And I talk constantly to the universe and my guides and my angels. And I know how to listen because I learned that with the first injury. And the message I got was, look across your life. I have so many talents and so many gifts. And by experiencing losing things that were so important to me, I can, through my writing, through my music, through my painting, reach people in however they can hear and take in the message. So I thought, oh, of course, that makes sense. So instead of resenting all the things I can't do, and that doesn't mean I don't miss them, but I'm making a difference in so many more lives than I was ever going to reach before. And that, it's That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why you get the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award, just for those two statements right there. I mean, this is my song that every single person, no matter what, has a gift, talent, and ability to find and hone. Not find as it is in it was lost, but to recognize. And when you just said that, I'm helping people and reaching people in a way that I couldn't have had this not happen. That's like magic Shazam words that open up a life of joy. I know that I say the same thing about my childhood abuse and my very expensive, difficult divorce, is that I wouldn't change it, because I would not be able to help the people that I do, and I wouldn't be able to have this platform to talk had that not all happened. And if that's my Christmas wish. You know that song, My Grown-Up Christmas List? That one? So that is my grown-up Christmas wish, is that every single person who's listening to this would embrace what your message is. That a life worth living doesn't depend on being in perfect health, being in perfect financial situation, being in perfect whatever that BS belief system that Cinderella left us with her happily ever after. But that you can have a traumatic brain injury, you can have a brain tumor, you can wake up not being able to walk or talk or swallow, and still find your purpose, find your bliss. It's obvious. You sing still, even though your voice is impacted. You play the guitar. You paint. You write. You run contests on the internet for people to show that it doesn't matter what your condition is, that you can live a life worth living. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On my site, there's a song. It's my theme song. It's the way I live my life in each minute. And I remember waking up one day about 4 months past the surgery thinking, I'm high, just as I would be if I had just exercised. And I thought, I'm struggling to swallow,
Right.
struggling to talk. Why am I high? And I realized, oh my gosh, this is what true happiness is. It has nothing to do with events, has nothing to do with the state of my body. It has to do with how I feel about everything.
Ding, 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 ding. I need to get a bell. We can do the magic one right there, because that was a profound message or statement right there. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I get to talk to today, it's Allie Bierman calling or Skyping in from Idaho, and she's the author of a book called Thrive! Don't just survive. And she is someone qualified to actually write the book, because she suffered not just one, but two traumatic brain injuries, had a tumor that contained 3 critical nerves in that tumor that were impacted in the surgery, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't swallow, and yet has found the secret to happiness that she just shared. The Dalai Lama, by the way, when he was asked what the secret to happiness was, I got to see him a couple years ago, and he said, now, if I told you what the secret was, it wouldn't be a secret anymore. But you just gave the secret on the air. So repeat that for me. You woke up and you felt this high and you couldn't swallow, but you recognized it as happiness because?
It's just profound happiness. Like, I was floating. I was loving everyone and everything. And really, it made no sense looking from the outside.
It's not the traditional definition of happiness, that's for sure.
No.
That's for sure. So when what would you say to people who are currently feeling hopeless, who currently are going through chemotherapy, who currently are, going through some testing because they don't know what's wrong with them, what would you say to them?
It's everything happens for a beautiful and divine reason. And when you're scared and when you're in pain, it's really hard to see that. But no one and nothing outside of you can move you into the happiness or the health, or a better word would be peace and well-being. It's all what you're doing with what's going on. And regardless of anything that happens, you can look for the gift. You'll only find it if you look for it. And I guarantee if you look for it, you will find it.
Now,
The universe never hands us anything unless we're capable of moving through it. And it also gives us solutions at the same time. So are you going to tune into the struggle, or are you going to tune into the solutions?
And I timed your episode on purpose too, because this is a season where we have spikes in depression and we have spikes in people taking their own lives. So when someone hears you and says, "But I don't feel that way. I cannot find." I don't feel like that there is a reason, or I don't feel like that's true, that God doesn't give you anything you can't handle, because I can't handle my layoff. I can't handle the loss of the use of my arms. I can't handle waking up feeling like I can't get out of bed every morning. I can't handle feeling that I'm gonna die if I get out of bed. How do you get there? Have you always felt this way?
I don't think I've always felt that way. That's why it was such a huge gift going through these traumas. And just a few days ago, somebody came to me, just like what you're describing, and she said, "How can I think positive when all these problems are real?" And you know what? Positive thinking doesn't help you any more than negative thinking. The only thing that works is accurate thinking. Events just are. You're giving it the meaning. What if you gave it a different meaning? And it's a habit you create. It's not something you can change in an instant, and yet it is something you change in an instant.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Yes, it's absolutely a choice. And nothing's going to change unless you're ready to change. So when you decide, I'm ready, I've had enough of this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, I think that's the missing piece. You got to do whatever it takes.
Right. The willingness without action is a fantasy, is one of my favorite sayings. Yeah, so I mean, I can say just start by cleaning up your room. It's amazing that something so small can make you feel better. And you just step by step feel better. But let me go back to something you said, your faith. Okay, and we didn't talk about this in the pre-interview, so I have no idea where I'm going. But I just, how does faith play into this? How does God play into this? You said, God doesn't give you any more than you can handle. How did you get to that?
That's a real interesting question. I'm a metaphysical minister. So I see that I believe everything and everyone is energy, including God. And I don't just think God is out there. I don't even think that a part of God is inside me. I believe all of me is God. And when people say all is one, that's what we're talking about. So I know that all of my answers are there and I can draw upon them. It's different, and yet it's the same. If I want to do a painting, if I want to write a book, anything I want to do in my life, I just put out to the universe, this is what I want to do. I don't try to figure out how to do it. I just wait, and the universe delivers it to me. I believe what I'm doing is I'm hooking into the universal oversoul, the superconscious, whatever word you use.
Now, did you grow up in this, or did you grow up in a religion?
I grew up Jewish, and
okay.
I started questioning religion, period, when I was a teenager. That's when the existentialism movement began, and it kind of made me crazy.
Uh-huh.
But the more I looked, I have very strong feelings about there's a big difference between religion and
Yes.
spirituality.
Amen to that, sister. Yeah, actually, I'm a Jewish sister to you. My mom was adopted by a Russian Jewish woman, so I have an Uncle Shiki, an Uncle Moishi, an Aunt Ethel, and Aunt Penny. And
Wow.
if you've seen my picture, I don't exactly look like. But yes, I absolutely agree with you. And I brought this up for a reason. I think that some people will say, well, does this have to be about God? Does this have to be, the answer is some kind of, brainwashing, cultish religion? And so that's why I asked you the question. And I am also I would lean towards metaphysical truths, or what I call ancient thought, new wisdom, because of the teachings that I give with balanced Tai Chi Gong. But I think that saying, and I've said it on the air before, that I read, that religion is for those of us. Religion are for those who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality are for those of us who've already been there.
That's great.
Yes. So if you're wondering, okay, so we've laid out the scenario, you don't have perfect health, or you're feeling depressed because of the holidays. Do you have to become a metaphysicist, or do you have to go to a religion? Or, I'm allergic to church, so I don't want to do that. Or I don't like organized religion. And I think one of the platforms, or the things that I'm grateful for in this show, is that I get to not talk about religion, but provide another way to look at, is it working for you? So the swing, I'm all about balance. So the swing from, religion in the old days, and then no religion at all, agnosticism and atheism, the hole that creates is that hole of meaninglessness, or unworthiness, or there is no purposeless living. And so what you're offering is, there is, if you believe in the metaphysics, and I don't even want to get caught up in labels, but if you live with a belief system that's not BS, it's a belief system that says that everything happens for our divine and best good, no matter what it is, and that we're supposed to be happy on the planet, and we're supposed to have dreams, and we're supposed to aspire, and we're supposed to be happy, and in my formula, it's 88% of the time, then someone like you, who is living proof that even if you don't have all of the physical capabilities that you used to, and even if you're not, suffering from cancer or any kind of illness, when you get old, you lose your capacities. If we based happiness on that physical definition of we're in perfect health, at some point you're not going to be happy. If we take what you're saying, and what I agree with, and what we talk about on the show, as if we're here for a purpose on the planet that has to do with finding what our specific purpose is, and that we get happy when we are living in that bliss, or living in that happiness, and you find your happiness by expressing your creativity. I get that. I see that in your book, in your music, in your painting, and in helping people. And I heard for the first time, I think today, that I'm listening inside here, is the distinction between finding happiness by serving people, which is, that selfless thing. But it's not even that. You're happy because you are creatively expressing your gifts, talents, and abilities, right?
You said that perfectly.
Oh, thank you. I love when that happens.
When I meditate every morning, I use the word universe instead of God, and I always thank the universe for allowing me to be a clear and open channel to do its work here.
Yes.
And I ask to please make a difference in at least one life today. I do that every day.
Yes.
I get high. I get high when it causes a smile to blossom or someone's eyes to light
Yes,
up.
yes. I resemble that comment. I do too. And we're going to have to take a quick break. And also, if you're hearing some fuzzy, we'll fix that during the commercial break. But if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Allie Bierman, the author of Thrive! Exclamation mark. Don't just survive. Someone who is living proof that you do not have to be in perfect health and you can recover from traumatic brain injuries and be high on life and happy. We're going to take a quick 2 and 2 break for the sponsors of today's episode, and that is actually Allie, and we'll be back in 2 and 2.
Are you surviving life? Do you want to thrive and not just survive? Then don't wait a moment longer. Best-selling author Allie Bierman is your Thrive expert. Surviving not one but 2 traumatic brain injuries, Allie proves that thriving is our living birthright. To get her best-selling book and more support, go to www.thrivedon'tjustsurvive.com. And Allie will leave you with a song in your heart and transform hopelessness into joy. Have you ever had a sweet potato cookie? Be the talk of the holiday table with Yam Good cookies and 4 unique tastes. All sweet potato with either pecan, ginger pecan, pineapple coconut, even topped with almonds. Available in West LA. So follow us on social media and visit www.yamgoodcookies.com to order. A holiday treat launched in the season of Thanksgiving that will now be enjoyed all year long. So have a Yam Good holiday.
And we're back. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at Naturally High noon on Universal Broadcasting Network out of the Sunset Gower Studios, and every Thursday on my NBC News radio channel, syndicated KCAA AM 1050. That's Thursday at 7 p.m. for your commute home. And today we're blessed to have a special guest, Allie Bierman, who's part of my series called Healing from Past Pain. She suffered 2, not 1, but 2 traumatic brain injuries. She had surgery. She woke up not being able to walk, talk, or swallow, has lost some capability in her voice, but she's been just preaching to the choir here about what real happiness is and the joy that comes from knowing what your purpose is. And her purpose is to share her story and inspire those who think that just because they are going through some physical difficulty, that doesn't mean that they cannot be happy. And so welcome back to you, Allie. And a couple questions for you. You can heal despite appearances. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's precisely what you were just saying. Wow. Looking from the outside, if you know what I'm going through the struggle, it doesn't make any sense for me to be happy.
Yes.
I have a friend who, and she was my inspiration anytime I felt down. I just thought of her. She contracted a rare disease, and she lost both of her legs and parts of some fingers. And she's the most amazing person. She has prosthetic legs. You wouldn't know that she's working hard to get around the very full life she lives. And she's happy, and she's generous, and I just have to think of her anytime I get down. And she happened to be, she's a local friend, but she happened to be away the first year during and after my surgery. But still, thinking of her got me through every down minute.
So she was your inspiration.
Yes.
And I think something that you said earlier that I didn't jump on, that I'm going to jump on now, is you said when you're not feeling good or when you are having difficulty, you don't talk about it. Because when you talk about it, it makes you feel worse or something like that. Was that accurate?
That's the reason I stopped being a talk therapist, because I realized, first of all, you can only access things with your conscious mind. And the problem is bothering you in your subconscious mind. And whatever you focus on expands. Why would you focus on what's wrong and what's missing? It's not going to change anything.
Right.
And I
Right.
see it as a waste of energy. When
Yes.
people tell me, somebody did something to me and I just want to be angry for a few days, like, seriously? Does that person care? Does that person know? Is that person being impacted? No, but
Yeah.
you are.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, that's why I have my 2-minute vent. I always tell people that to find a vent partner and they're allowed for 2 minutes twice a day to just get it out and release that negative energy so it doesn't sit inside. So it's actually out and you're not allowed to come back and revisit it. And if you don't use your 2 minutes that day, there's no singular. The next days, there's no rollover. So you don't get 4 minutes, but you get it out of your system, but you don't talk about it again. And I think that that's one of the downsides of where our psychology system has gone, where people continue to bring up stuff, right, over and over and over again. I tell my mom she's got Parkinson's, and every time we get on the phone, she will give me the laundry list of everything that's wrong, and she's allowed to do that once. And then after that, she's not allowed to go back again because it's not doing her any good. She just feels worse and worse and worse. So it sounds like you do that same kind of exercise.
And thank you for saying that, because a real friend is going to listen once, possibly twice. But you're not a friend if you're letting your friend stay stuck.
Yes. You're enabling them
Yeah.
to stay stuck. Yeah. People that tell me all the time, I don't have time. And I go, okay, how many times do you listen to that friend tell the same story for how long? Or how often do you keep going to the tractor for milk with your mom or whoever your relative is that keeps telling the same story? So absolutely, our time is the most precious commodity that we have. Let's not make choices that waste it. Yes?
And also our energy. Something I never realized until it happened to me. When you have a traumatic injury, and I realize it's going to look a little different for each person, but for me and for some clients I had, and sadly I didn't believe them, on an energy bank account.
Okay.
So it took me a while to discover, for a half an hour of activity, it took me 2 hours to recoup that energy.
Yes.
And I lived that way for 3 years. So when someone with a brain injury can't keep up, it's real. They're not trying to get out of something. Help them to meet their needs, to take care of themselves, please.
Yes, I think that's a really good point to bring up, especially in this season. I think sometimes the worst reactions that I hear are these very unkind things about people with disabilities or people who cannot do the things that other people can. And so I'm going to put the balance for this moose on the table, is that when people do have some real physical ailments, to have an expectation that they can just get over it, I think is unreasonable. And so when I hear people go, it's not fair that people that have those handicap placards, so why do they get front row parking? It doesn't look like they have any kind of ailment. And I just try to breathe through and bless them anyways. Now, I'm not saying that on the other hand that there aren't some people that misuse some of the placards, but to give people the benefit of the doubt, as you're asking, is when, if I'm amazed right now at your ability to I know that it's not easy for you to even do the back and forth that we're doing necessarily, because you still do have some impact from that brain injury, correct?
Speaking is a major deal.
Yes. So again, if you've tuned in and had this normal, not great reaction of what's wrong with her voice, and haven't listened to the show, know that this is a woman who is speaking with great difficulty, but knows that her story in recovering and thriving despite a brain injury is something that she does to help. So I think in this season, my Dr. Marissa challenge for this season is to practice some compassion more so than we would normally have. I think it is the season that we actually do practice more compassion, which is a good thing. But I think the challenge would be to give people full benefit of the doubt. So if there are people out there that you think that you've been critical of, that this season we give them full benefit of the doubt. So even if they say something that sounds hurtful, that we even give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't mean to say that, especially when you're going home for the holidays. And you know you're going to have that one person that's going to say something like, oh, I had a caller say, she hasn't seen her mom in a while, and her mom said, why do your knees look so fat? I remember that call. And even in cases like that, when people say something to you that is hurtful, to give them a point of compassion that they just don't know any better. And that, I think, would go a long way for us to bring that peace on earth. How does that sound?
Yes. And, I have a friend who uses the expression, love them alone.
Love them what?
Love them alone. If somebody's doing something hurtful, it's your choice. You don't need to be in their presence, but send them love. Because in my opinion, the only way someone can do something hurtful to another is because they don't have self-love.
Yeah, I call it, I love them from afar. We detach with love. So going to your, now, tell me about your, what you're doing with your website, and what is your website too, so people can come and be inspired.
My site is Thrive, Don't Just Survive.com. There's no punctuation.
Okay, so you can find Allie Bierman there. You can also get a free copy of her book to, I think I want to give a deal here, Allie. I know you offered me some free books, which was very delightful. This is part of her giving spirit, because it is an inspirational book, and she wants to get it to people who wouldn't normally be able to get it. If you have any contacts at all with anyone in the community who could use an inspiring book like that, so any kinds of senior citizens homes, or any kind of recovery homes, or any kind of hospital long-term care, if you have any connections there, could you please get a hold of Allie and tell them that you heard her on Dr. Marissa's show, and she will, I know, give you some books so that you can distribute them for her. Is that good? I know you asked me that on the side. We're now just telling thousands of people, so you should be getting some requests. So hopefully that's okay.
I am anticipating thousands of requests, and they're actually digital. Just so people are aware, it won't be a hold in your handbook. I just finished the digital version this morning.
But with all the Kindles and all the iPads walking around, I think that would be very helpful. Great. And you actually have more than 1,000 published articles. So what were your favorites?
Well, the article that I wrote, Be Instantly Happy, or How to Be Happy Right Now, I don't remember the exact title. That's definitely my most popular article. And it's because you have a choice in each minute. Mm-hmm. If you suddenly notice everything's going wrong, it's not because you got out of bed on the wrong side. It's because you're focusing on all the things going wrong. Mm. So I have a 7-step formula to change that in an instant, and then to tell you how to continue to actually create the habit of happiness. That's one of my big life goals, is for people to create the habit of happiness so you don't have to think about it. Mm. So right now, the default way of thinking and being is negative.
Yes.
And you have to exert extra energy to move yourself to a place of happy. Yes. What if you change that?
So what are the first 3 steps?
3, okay. The first thing you do is you stand or you sit tall. If you're hunched over, as most people are, you're not giving your lungs room to expand. Well, your breath is your life force. So that's the first thing, is your posture. The second thing that you do is you tell yourself, you say these words this way.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. The second thing is smile.
Okay.
It has to be
All
a
right.
real smile, not a fake smile.
Not like
There's about
that.
an eighth of an inch difference.
Okay.
And while you're smiling, you tell yourself, I'm choosing to feel happy now. You do that for about 10 seconds while you're smiling. And I need to go into the next step. I don't want to leave people hanging. So while you're doing that,
Okay, let me do it. Let me do it now. So 10 seconds, right? So
Yeah.
I'm smiling. Is that a real smile? Jarvis, is that a real smile? Okay. So it's not, I'm supposed to be smiling. Okay, real smile. And what am I saying to myself?
I'm choosing to feel happy now.
I'm choosing to feel happy now. I'm sitting up. I'm choosing to feel happy now. Are we counting 10 seconds? I'm choosing to be happy now. Jarvis, tell me when it's 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay, good. I'm feeling good. Next
And
next
then
step.
you go into your memory bank. I don't usually send people back into their memory. Pull out a moment when you were really and truly happy and completely feel it.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back. One of my most happiest moments where my daughters and I were in the. Actually, I think I only had the younger one with me, and I was telling her a joke, and I hope to goodness I get this right. How do you catch a unique rabbit? You unique up on him, and how do you catch a tame rabbit? Tame thing, unique up on them. And how do you catch a common rabbit? Come on, tame thing, unique up on him. So I know it's not that funny, but my daughter, and she was probably 11, was so overcome with joy, and she fell into the front seat laughing so hard, and my heart was so broken open with joy and happiness and contentment and bliss and wonder, and I was euphoric. And so whenever I do not feel good, when something bad happens, first I vent, and then I take that breath and I remember, I close my eyes and I go back to the car and that moment, and is the most incredible, joyful moment. And I'm very blessed. I've had many, but that's the one I'm going to with this exercise. Okay.
And just so people know, you don't have to do any of it out loud, because you may be in a room with other people and they'll look at you really weird.
Yes, like all of my thousands of listeners just had to go through that moment with me. Well, hopefully somebody got a kick out of that joke. It's one of my only clean ones. So, and we have FCC now, so we ain't going there. But okay, so great. So those are 3 steps that anyone can do, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, and they actually are part of, I don't have step, well, I do have 1, but I don't necessarily do 2, but I do have 3. So I'm on the right track. So if you are listening and you know anyone, including yourself, if you're going through what we call the holiday blues, this is a way to treat that ailment. And that's only 3 of the 7. And so you must find Allie Bierman on her website, thrivedon'tjustsurvive.com, for the rest of the steps. So there's your teaser, Allie. Contact her, and I'm sure she will work with you on creating happiness as a habit. Allie, we're running up to the end of our show here, and your wonderful guest presence. What's one thing you would like to leave Dr. Marissa listeners with?
Your life is in your hands, not your partner, not your doctor, not your parents, not your best friend. You get to choose whether you win or lose.
Thank you. Thank you so much for many, many, many words of wisdom that come out of a body that by some people's standards would be, wouldn't it have been better if this hadn't all happened to you? But in the words that you shared before break, you could not reach the people you do. You could not be inspiring and a great role model for anyone who has gone through brain trauma injuries or any kind of physical ailment. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to sit on that pity pot for longer than 1 or 2 vents. That you can find meaning and purpose, that everyone does have meaning and purpose in this life, and to find it. And sometimes the tragedies, the quote unquote tragedies, are it's like the chick and the egg. When it pecks out, or the phoenix that comes out of the fire, sometimes it is those things that hurt us the most, that give us the energy to move out and to blossom into the beautiful being that we are, including you, especially you, Allie Bierman. So thank you so much for coming on. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. One more time. Thank you, Allie. And we are at the end of our show, and we are coming up to the balance bar, the portion of the show where I give away stuff, only because I'm now with the honorable moniker of the Asian Oprah. So my first giveaway I already gave away, which are as many copies of the books of Allie's ebook that you can handle to give away. Also, so you can be part of the change that you want to see, and make sure that this holiday does have as little blue as possible. We're adding the red so that we all become purple. How's that? We really, really would like this season to be one of true joy. So that is one of the giveaways. Another giveaway is, I think, during this holiday season, I'm going to give one consulting or coaching, Balanced Life coaching session away. So if you're feeling that point of despair or a point of hopelessness, and you really would like to have a session with me to find that hope, I can offer that up to you. So just find me on 4balance.org, sign the guest book, and say Christmas special with me, and I will contact you and make that happen. So this is, let's see, we're in December. If you have not made plans on Saturdays, for 5 Saturdays, please join me at the Agape International Spiritual Center for my winter session class. I teach once a year, 5 weeks of balanced Tai Chi Gong, and it's more than just a moving meditation. It helps you get rid of the critical thinking that keeps sabotaging you or keeps beating you up. And we put a balance treatment on top of 18 forms of Qigong and Tai Chi. And if you'd like a sample of that, go to my YouTube channel and just type in Balanced Tai Chi Gong with Dr. Marissa, and you can sort of see that and see what it's all about. No experience necessary. Wear comfortable clothes. Register online at agapelive.com. And I will see you in January. Or if you just like a video, you can find that online in my Balance Marketplace. And as usual, all of my proceeds go towards my peace work around the planet. And the next creative endeavor is the app for the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. Today is day 9, and the balance tip for today's for the fast today is don't complain about first world problems. Did you know that we are amongst, if you have a roof over your head, food in your stomach, or in the kitchen or nearby, and money in your wallet, you are amongst the top 8% of the population on the planet. Some people have said that's actually too high. It's only 3%. So consider yourself truly blessed. I do not want to hear any complaining this season that you didn't get the version of the iPhone that you wanted, when there are so many people out there who have so much less. So instead of complaining about those things, or if the room is too cold, or it's raining, or any of that, let's be grateful. First thing in the morning, 8 things that you're grateful for. Join me on my posts. I post now from now until the 21st day, starting the day with 8 gratitudes, and often I go over my 8 quota. So I wish you would too, because I am truly wanting this season for you to be one of joy, and you can make it. As Ali said today, it's a matter of choice. That's what happiness is. Next week, you are going to hear 2 callers calling in to Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, and they're going to be talking about how they want their life tires a little more balanced and how to get their stinking thinking smog checked. So we're going to tackle some BS, some belief systems. The week after that, we are blessed to have Julie Moret, who's an inspirational speaker. She's also a reverend at the Agape International Spiritual Center. She's going to be on TED Talks next year. She is a fabulous inspirational expert. So that's what we're going to talk about, which is inspiration. And then after Christmas, the last episode for the year of my sexual healing with Dr. Marissa is going to be with Bravo's millionaire matchmaker expert, David Cruz. And we go to town on sex and romance. So you will not want to miss that final sexual healing with Dr. Marissa for the year 2014. Can you believe I've been on the air for 2.5 years now? I cannot believe, one, that it's gone by so quickly, but as well, it has gone by so fabulously thanks to you, my listeners. Our YouTube views are up. Last year with 300, and we are now over 19,000. I just can't believe it. And thank you so much. Over 40,000 regular listeners, and the numbers on the podcast download can't seem to get an accurate count, but somewhere between 250,000 and almost 400,000. So thank you to my listeners for tuning in on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
As I look